You're working as part of the JD Williams tribe using agile and objectives and key results, or OKRs, as part of how you set and achieve goals. How long have you been using OKRs and how did that come about?
The JD Williams tribe mobilised in September last year, so 2023, and we pretty much started using OKRs straight away as part of that mobilisation. I think the real reason for that is having clear OKRs gives you a way to prioritise your workload and understand the value you're adding. And as teams move into Agile, they'll understand that that's a really critical part of the Agile way of working. So getting your OKRs set out the door really helps with that.
It's a new way of approaching goal setting. Did you and the tribe experience any difficulties to begin with?
The main learn we took, and it's where the difficulty came from, is understanding the point of an OKR. And I think we initially approached it like it was some sort of big marketing mission statement, and it was way too wordy and way too technical, and it removed all of that tangibility which is so important within an OKR. So that was probably the biggest challenge, is actually retraining our brains to say have the most impact in as little words as possible. And I think the second challenge we had is that we actually tried to do it as quite a small group the first time round, and it felt like the right decision because we didn't want to overwhelm the team with this new way of working, but actually this should be decided collectively. We should be empowering every colleague in our business to drive what their OKRs are, and that was a real learn for us as well.
What are the benefits of working with OKRs for us as a business and for our teams?
I mean, I think as a business, it goes back to that point on having a shared goal and those shared goals being easily accessible across teams. We're a huge company, so it's really great to be able to look at something like an OKR and understand what everybody's working on. I think within teams or within tribes or within squads, if we want to use the correct terminology, particularly thinking ahead to the retail mobilisation that I'll be part of, where we're going to be having multiple functions within a tribe. One of the other benefits to our teams is that it almost removes some barriers. You know, we all have different KPIs that we report on. We all have different reports that we use. And actually it can feel like people's roles are quite insular in terms of their expertise and what they're delivering for the customer. And I think that shared element of what an OKR is and the fact that they are created and agreed upon collaboratively removes that barrier and helps everyone understand how their part plays into this bigger ambition that we have.
Can you share an example of a time when an OKR has had a direct impact on our customer?
I guess from our point of view, we are in a branded tribe, so everything we do has a customer lens on it because, as I said, our brand ambition is about serving a certain customer. So we try to take everything with a customer lens. I think a really nice example is something that we've kept in sort of our past sort of 3 sets of OKRs, and it's been quite a continuation, is around engaging our customer base. We know our existing customers are super valuable for us. I think one key example there is because we put this focus within the OKR on making tangible decisions around that existing customer base, we changed our rewards program. So we changed it from an acquisition point of view, and we also changed our approach to how we were talking to our existing rewards customers. And it meant that we were rewarding the customer more, so we were giving the customer more, we were making the customer feel more valued, and we were trying to inspire the customer as much as we could. And actually, I think a point of where we can see the success there is that it's one of the OKRs that we really successfully delivered. And it's something that we've continued to keep within our plans because we know we can always build momentum on it. And we know that our stance on existing customers won't change.
How have you and your tribe measured the value that OKRs have delivered?
When we set OKRs, kind of the final part of the statement that we have to deliver is around the metrics and key results. So we've got this statement of what we want to do, and those metrics and key results are essentially saying, if we do this, we have achieved the OKR. And they can be sort of almost like numerical KPIs. So for us, we align them quite closely to the budget, but they can also be milestones. And when we talk about a milestone, that's usually more that a project is being delivered now that will unlock value in the future. So we might not be able to measure the value in the immediate term on the work being done, but we do know it's going to add value for us moving forwards. We use a tool called Jira to log our OKRs, and within Jira you can then go in and update your progress against these measures. That's kind of the tangible number, and it's also your confidence. So as a team, we will sort of go through and think, if we're really missing, how confident are we that we're going to be able to turn it around? Or if we're overperforming, how confident are we that we're going to maintain that? And equally, if we're tracking exactly as we expected, are we pretty confident that that will continue? That then pulls into a Power BI report. So I think a really great piece for sort of broader teams that aren't maybe directly impacted and actually having to go into Jira to update these, people can see a snapshot of how they're tracking through a Power BI report, which is really useful. For us within sort of the retail and the trade area of the business, we work really closely with our commercial finance managers and our data analysts, and they support us in pulling our performance for these numerical measures. And I believe we've got analyst support sort of across the business to help with that as well.
What would your advice be for a colleague who is pre-mobilised or hasn't worked with OKRs before? Why should they be excited?
I think first piece of advice is don't worry. It's something new for the business as a whole. There are teams that have now been through it, which will definitely be able to support other teams as they move into mobilisation. So it definitely shouldn't be something that's scary. And I think probably the key call out, which maybe could be a cause for concern for people, is that they aren't designed to create new work. This isn't about making people's lives harder. They're designed to help us prioritise. So they're designed to help us understand the value of what we're doing and therefore prioritise our workloads effectively. So you shouldn't see your workloads double from creating an OKR. You should actually have a better understanding of where you should be spending your time to bring the most value to the customer and to the business.